Hi, this is Mike Quigley again, Shogun Oriental Arts. We're going to take another look at the ivory area. For the moment, we're going to now go to Japanese ivory. I have some examples here which are basically okimonos, which is the Japanese word for standing carvings, big or little, other than things like netskis and things that require other things done to them to make them what they are. Anyway, here's examples of those. The first one we're going to look at, and by the way, all of these are 20th century, probably from about 1905, and I have one or two here that were probably post-Korean War, just after it, into the 50s or 60s. The first one's going to be this old man who is taking a look at his sweeping abilities in his front of his house, maybe, or shop, and it is done in great detail. It's even then colored, where they use coffee or various stains to get the color of brown that you're seeing, and highlight it. And then here he's got a saka deer standing right next to him, which is also carved and well done. There are details that are just, you have to look at it from all sides to find the detail work. Now, if you'll notice again on the back side, as I talked about, you'll see certain striations within the ivory which tell you another way of telling that it's ivory. Bone just doesn't do that. Okay. Also, on the bottom of many of the Japanese pieces, you will see the signature. This particular one is done in red and an insert. So they were often very proud of their work. The Chinese did not always sign their stuff, and if they did, very crudely. So that's kind of what we got on him. Next one is a gal, Keisha, who is out for a walk, and she is looking at various things as she goes by. She has her fan, and she's walking. The detail on her kimono and obi and stuff are really good. And then if you notice down at the bottom, here's a little kitty cat. Always put in something surprising. Same kind of thing. Detail, detail, detail. Let's see if this has a signature. Yep, there it is. That one's just cut out in the bottom. If you'll also notice for an ivory piece, notice the ring darked areas. This is again the growth areas on a tusk. So you can see the color variations. It'll give you another hint easily that it is probably ivory. Another way to tell ivory, whatever the item is, if it is dense in weight, really dense, then you have a better understanding of what ivory can do. It has a nice dense feel. The next item was probably done post-Korean War, as I said, but is a super example of detail work, just to the nth degree. Japanese were very good in this, and they did this all of the time with the work that they did. So compared to the Chinese in general, the work that was done by the Japanese is just phenomenal. The coloration you see is all actually dyed and painted onto the surface of the kimono robe, and just blows you away, literally, as far as the quality is concerned. The nose, the eyes, the hands, the fingernails even. I think that one's got another seal. There you go. That's got a seal as well, and it indicates more of what the Japanese generally did with their pieces when they were finished. They were proud of them, they signed them. They didn't have to do it all the time. The last piece is going to be very interesting. This is also a carved figure, but the guy, let me turn him around slowly. He has got a raft of wood, and he is pushing it along with a stick. And the detail work on this is also very good, but the figure himself is kind of rolled and not very detailed. That was intentionally done that way to give a look of antiquity and movement. What's really nice about this piece is he is ivory, and the raft that he is sitting on is actually, even the underside is finished, which is just phenomenal. There was no need to do that, but the artisan always did everything. What's interesting about that is that the raft section in the wood pieces, this is mastodon, which, as you probably are aware, is a mammoth tusks, and very interesting to look at. It also is very dense once it solidifies. So that's a little bit unusual, but and you don't see it that often. So that's kind of what you got in Japanese things. I've got one more piece that I want you to look at, and it is a big guy. This is a full piece of a tusk. Again, you can see the curvature in it. The curvature is the curvature a normal tusk would have. The prime piece on a tusk for carving, and paid for the most amount of money to buy it, to work with it, is the tip, from the very point back. Why? Because the beginning and first part of the tusk are solid ivory. They do not have a hollowed out area. As it goes further back into the tusk, the root has a lot of nerve down into it, so you have a hollow area. So it's a really unique piece. This thing is heavy, very dense, but it's a series of where the boy's down here playing, and his father's up there as a musician, apparently hitting the drums. Carved detail work. The dark areas are stained, which they usually are, or painted, to give accent to the workmanship, highlighted, if you will. But this thing is carved from one end to the other in great, great, great detail. I wish it that I had many of these, but you do not find very many of these in a solid form. Now, this piece was probably done in the 20s or possibly the 30s, so I really don't know. It's difficult to date ivory, and this is something you really can't determine completely. With Mastodon you can, because it is ancient, it can be tested, and it will show that it's really old. That's the fun part of ivory. It can be any size, but again, you want workmanship, quality, 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 quality. So when you're collecting these things and enjoying them, make sure that you do look at the piece very closely. If it's broken or has other problems, then don't. You may not want to buy it, because trying to repair them is very expensive and usually doesn't come out very well. All right, well that's the Japanese stuff. Thank you.